And WENY Political Analyst Dr. Jim Twombly joining us today to talk about the looming debt ceiling. Now, Jim, we've talked about this before in the past, but as of just a couple of days ago, it seemed like the federal government would have plenty of time, perhaps later in June or even the end of July, to resolve the issue of the nation's debt ceiling. That was according to economists and financial analysts. But yesterday, however, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen announced that deadline is actually more like June 1st. And that news sent Washington into a scramble to find ways to increase the ceiling before that date. So, Jim, didn't we reach the debt limit back in January? And if we did that back then, why is this important now?
Yes, we did. However, the government has ways to continue to pay for the services that it provides, though we are at the limit.
Okay, and how is that possible?
Well, I hate to use or employ the overused analogy of the credit card, partly because it's not the best fit, but it does get most of the concept across. So imagine if you paid for all of your bills with a single credit card, and you reached your credit limit, and now you can't pay for anything, not even to make the payments on what you owe. But eureka, you find a hoard of cash between the seat cushions in your couch, enough to keep you housed and fed until you can increase your limit, which you have the power to do. In the case of the federal government, they have been using revenue sources like income tax payments and user fees that have been coming in all so far this year, but they'll run out of that by Yellen's date.
Okay, and so why is this as difficult as it is when it should be fairly straightforward?
Politics. Republicans, primarily in the House, want to use the potential of a government defaulting on its debt as leverage to extract spending cuts from the Biden administration. Something they've tried before when Democrats have held the White House. The Biden administration and many in the Senate want to see a debt ceiling extension bill that is clean. That doesn't contain anything but an extension or an increase.
Okay, and now why can't they get that?
Well, in the past, it's been simply that the Republicans try to use this opportunity to get cuts to spending. If we go back to the analogy in practical terms, that's like paying your current bills by limiting future spending. It doesn't work because you still have to pay what you've already spent, your current spending. And if you don't have the money to do that, your creditors are going to come and take your car or your house. In the current situation, Speaker McCarthy refuses to bring a so-called clean bill to the floor as part of the deal he made with the far-right members of the Republican conference to become Speaker in the first place. The Democrats already have introduced what's called a discharge petition to try to get a clean bill out of committee and on the floor, where they think they can get enough Republicans to join them and pass a debt ceiling increase.
Okay, well, they have 30 days or less to figure it out.
Indeed they do.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.